for the arenas, before the awards.
This is b4Nashville Live. Have a question for our guest?
Send it to us via Messenger.
Here's your host, George Davis.
And welcome back to Before Nashville, where we introduce the country stars of tomorrow to the country fans of today. And we're going to give a shout out to our sponsors here in just a second. But first off, if you do have a question and you're on our Facebook page, then you can message that to me. If you're watching on YouTube, you can message it, but I won't see it till after the show. But if you're on our Facebook page watching, you can send me a direct message and I can ask Elise those questions. So please be kind. Okay. So we'll get that all started. And in the meantime, let's take 30 seconds and give a shout out to all of our sponsors. We'll be right back.
Before Nashville is proudly sponsored by Go-Go Tuners, the go-to tuner for professional and amateur musicians. Get your Go-Go Tuner at gogotuners.com. By Heart to Heart Coffee, the coffee that gives back. Find out more at heart2heartcoffee.com. By Civvies Apparel, worn by heroes, made with respect. Order yours at civviesapparel.com. And by Three Rangers Whiskey, not for the weak or faint-hearted. ThreeRangers.com.
All right, a big thank you to our sponsors, and our guest tonight is from St. Louis, Missouri. Right now, she is residing in Columbia as she goes to Mizzou, and we're going to chat with her about her music and what she's doing at school and just about life in general. So everybody, please welcome Elise Newman to the show. Elise, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. So we've talked a little bit offline, kind of found out some things about you, but I don't know all the early details, and I want to start off with that. So did you grow up in St. Louis all your life?
Yeah. So I've literally lived in the same house from the time I was 3 till I just moved here. So
So what was it like growing up in St. Louis?
it was awesome. I mean, just me and my family are super close and, Cardinals games every summer. I'd go see a show at the Muni every summer, shows at the Fox, like just all that St. Louis atmosphere.
Right. And there's so much to do. I mean, there's
Uh-huh.
always shows, concerts, all kinds of stuff happening. Musically, what was I guess, the climate of music around the house when you were growing up?
Um, so my mom played piano, and so we have this baby grand piano in our house. It's beautiful, and my mom would always play when I was growing up. But other than that, like my dad and my siblings really took no interest in music, and I was the only one who did. So when I was 6, my parents put me in piano lessons, and that kind of kickstarted everything.
Okay. So if you were the only one that ever did, other than your mom, I mean, was your mom kind of the early influence for you listening to her play, or was it just something else that drew you into that?
Yeah, I think definitely like hearing my mom play, and then like my family, we always are listening to music, even if not necessarily everyone plays. Like when we're cleaning, we're blasting music around the house. Every car ride, radio's always turned up. Like, and so I've just always grown up listening to music, and especially with my cousins when I was younger, and we'd make up. They were the cool older cousins, and I was the little cousin, and they make up dances with whatever their favorite songs were at the time. They introduced me to Taylor Swift and Carrie Underwood, and I, like, started falling in love with their music.
So it's safe to say that Taylor Swift and Carrie Underwood are a couple of your influences.
Oh, yeah, Taylor Swift, definitely. She's my favorite artist, like, I she just announced that she's releasing a new album, and I'm so hyped. But, yeah, I think a lot of my songwriting style, I think, is definitely influenced by her.
Uh-huh. So did you watch her on the VMAs last night when she won the award?
Yes. Yeah, I had it pulled up in my room.
I figured you probably did, but I had to ask that question anyway. So which side of Taylor Swift are you more in tune with? The early Taylor Swift or the Taylor Swift of, say, what would it be, I guess, 2, 3 years ago when she was kind of turned her back on country and went more pop?
So, it definitely, like, literally depends on what mood I'm in.
Mhm.
Um, I love listening to her older stuff, especially in the summer. Like, so this past summer has been, like, full of it's kind of the old country Taylor. Um, but then I do like her newer stuff a lot, and I think seeing her songwriting style grow is just, like,
Mhm.
so cool to watch, like, her progression as she's, like, started writing songs when she was, like, my age, like, 18, and then now she's 30, and you're, like, seeing this progression. So it's, like it's really neat. I just appreciate it all.
I haven't listened to any of her newer stuff, so I mean, honestly, I have to be honest. I just haven't taken time to listen to her.
Yeah.
The early stuff, she was kind of everybody was gravitating to her writing style
Mhm.
that, you know, um, uh, vengeful girlfriend type of thing,
Yeah.
you know, sort of burn.
Yeah.
I was always waiting, and I guess that's probably the closest, but I was always waiting for her to come out with like a Dixie Chicks type theme, Goodbye Earl.
Yes, yes.
But she never did, thank goodness. And then, of course, Carrie Underwood, I mean, gosh, she's got such an amazing voice and such a range,
Mhm.
you know? Uh,
Yeah.
gosh, I mean, there's nothing bad you can say about Carrie Underwood.
No, she's
No.
incredible.
Yeah, and, of course, she's back doing, Sunday Night Football again, I think. She's doing the thing for that. She's done that for, like, golly, has it been 4 years?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think so.
It's Sunday night. That starts as a Sunday or Thursday, but it's Sunday night. And,
Mhm.
you know, uh, uh, to have that powerhouse voice and stuff on that is just so cool too.
Yeah.
Uh, as we were talking earlier, being in radio, I've got to meet a lot of people. Carrie's one that I have met, and
Really?
yeah, saw her in concert. She's just as sweet face to
Oh.
face as she is, as she comes across everywhere else. And we saw her in concert, and wow, it was like a girls' concert. It was her, Runaway June, and Maddie and Tay.
Oh, I
And,
love Maddie and Tay.
um, Taylor was the only one I didn't know. I mean, Maddie and Tay,
Yeah.
I hung out with them on their bus and introduced them at a show, and, Runaway June, they knew Jennifer Wayne, John Wayne's daughter or
Mhm.
granddaughter, and this was before the version they have now. It's changed up. I think Jennifer's still with them, but then Natalie Stovall's in, and they have another young girl in. But, whenever we went to, the meet and greet for Carrie, we were standing there, and they were walking by, Runaway Jean was walking by, and Jennifer stops, and she goes, "Well, hey, George, how you doing?
Oh my gosh.
I ain't got my name on me nowhere." And, we had just chatted and stuff, through social media, and she recognized me. I thought that was
Oh
really
my
cool. So
gosh.
that spoke volumes.
Yeah.
Um, but now once you got into country music, and started listening more and doing more, um, and I'm looking at the picture of young folks today. Were there a lot of your friends that were cool with it, or were there some that goes, "Oh, country music, why? Just why?"
Um, definitely a lot of my friends were, like, really supportive. They were like, "Yes, like, this is so cool." I had some that were maybe, like we're not really friends anymore, but, like, at the time, they were, like, a little jealous and, like, "Oh, like, are you sure?" And I was
Really?
like, "Yeah, I love this, like, I'm gonna do it." Luckily, all the people I'm friends with now are so supportive, and they love it.
That is so cool. That is so cool.
Yeah.
So tell me, one good question here that Brian has actually asked, and Brian, I'm sorry. But he wants to know your Mount Rushmore of artists that you would like to meet. So what four artists would you love to meet? I can tell you
Taylor
two of them, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, Taylor Swift, probably Maren Morris. I'm a huge Maren Morris fan too.
Mhm.
Um, Morgan Wallen. I'm so upset I just missed his concert, and, Thomas Rhett.
Well,
Yeah.
that's actually pretty good. I have to say, uh, 2 of the 4 I haven't met.
Yeah?
So, and that would be Thomas Rhett and Taylor. I've never met either one of them. Um,
Yeah.
but it's super cool though. So as you're getting into music and you're starting to kind of go, I kind of want to do this. You started teaching yourself guitar
Yeah.
and started writing music. Now, let's focus on the guitar teaching for a second. Did you find it difficult to teach yourself guitar?
Um, Honestly, no. Like, I would just kind of find tutorials and then also just, like, the ultimate guitar app that has, like you can look up any song and all the chords are
Mhm.
right there. So once I would learn a chord, I could play the song to it, and I think I took piano lessons for 6 years, and I think having that influence, like, from when I was so young helped a
Mhm.
ton. So I really didn't find it that difficult.
Well, I'm an old man and I've tried it, and so I gave up. I gave up. I just it's like I can't do it. So and I have guitars hanging on my wall, but they're just for show. So got to make it look good.
Yeah.
But what I mean with the writing, okay, let's go into
Mhm,
that. If you could, let's say you get a call to co-write with a big writer out of Nashville, okay?
mhm.
And I'm gonna block you here because outside of Taylor,
Okay, outside of Taylor.
because I knew that would probably be the answer. What writer would you like to collaborate with on a song?
Probably Maren Morris. I just think her songs are just, like I just relate to all of them. I would love to
Mhm.
just sit down with her and be like, "Let's share ideas and see where that goes."
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's a good answer. I mean, honestly, it's a good answer. She is a phenomenal songwriter, I have to say that. Um, Now being an independent artist, I mean, I guess you're trying to make your way in the business, you're starting out. Are you playing a lot of shows? I mean, I know college is kind of like top of mind, and you just started too, I'm
Yeah.
sure. Mizzou probably just got into
Yeah.
classes, but have you been playing out a lot?
I did a bit this summer, like, going into college. I
Mhm.
did more gigs and, like, open mic stuff. Um, right now, I'm still, like, just trying to get familiar with Columbia, but I know there are a lot of really good bars down here that, like, would allow me to play, like, Nash Vegas is a huge one, and that's a huge country bar, and they're, like, really good about letting upcoming artists play, so I really wanna reach out to them. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, I definitely am, like, trying to get my footing in.
What, so I normally ask a question, but I don't think it's really relevant here, but let's ask something that's along the same lines. What do you feel like are the main steps that an artist going into, say, a new city, be it Columbia or Nashville for that matter,
Mhm.
what kind of things are they going to have to do, or do you feel like they need to do to get into those bars, to get into those places where people see them?
I think, like, try and establish connections, like, be open with the fact that, like, you make music and that's something that you love to do, and, like because everyone knows someone, and so you never know, like, who you're telling, where that's gonna
Mm,
end up, and also just, like, persistence. Like, don't be annoying and, like, knock on their door and be like, "Let me play," but if you're there, be like, "Hey, this is my information, I would love to talk with you," and then follow up if maybe it's, like, a month and they don't respond.
right. So, and that brings up another question that I've presented to some folks before. You know, in Nashville used to, and I say used to, this probably been 5 or 10 years ago. Gosh, I forget you're so young. Dadgummit. Um, but they used to walk up and down Music Row with cassette tapes or CDs in their hand, and they would go up into the Music Row offices of all the record labels because all the labels are on Music Row.
Mhm.
You know, you got Big Machine, you've got
Yeah.
Sony, you've got UMG, WEA, all those guys are right there on Music Row. And they would walk in and they would give them like a one sheet and their
Mhm.
CD or their cassette and stuff. Um, what do you feel like now is the way to pitch yourself um, with the music? I mean, you talked about going in and talking to them and not being annoying and stuff like that. but how do you get them to listen to your music more than one time?
I think right now, like, such a big thing is social media, and I think, I actually had a conversation with Molly Lovett, who's an upcoming artist in Nashville,
Mhm.
um, and we had, like, a long talk, and she was like, "You need to get your social media up because people are gonna, like the more followers you have, like, the more content, the more chances there are to be like, for people to see it and hear it." So I think, like, social media, like, I know on TikTok, there have been, like, so many artists and songs that have just been discovered because they are just constantly, like, posting. And I think, like, that is kind of the new form of walking up and down Music Row and walking into record labels, is
Right.
posting and hoping it ends up in the right hands.
Yeah. I mean, the labels now have digital departments that's all these people do
Mhm.
is they scour TikTok or
Yeah.
Instagram. Generally, they look at TikTok first for your content and your videos of music and, whether it's a cover song or it's your original or whatever, and they look at your followers there, but they do take into consideration that TikTok is relatively new. I mean, there are people
Yeah.
that have a million followers on TikTok, but then they go to your Instagram and they start looking and seeing, like what you're
Mhm.
posting, and it's almost like it's like a job interview. I mean, you're going
Yeah.
for a job interview. Your potential boss is doing the same thing if they're any good at
Mhm.
all. To
Yeah.
see, do you have all the party pictures up, and is that what I got to deal with, or is this somebody that's got a good head on their shoulders and they're,
Mhm.
you know, down to earth and that kind of thing. So I with the advent of I guess I say the advent, the invention of more of the social media and TikTok. I mean, and I guess you've kind of answered that question now that I think about it, but it's very imperative that you have basically TikTok and Instagram. Would you say that's correct?
Yeah, like 100%.
Okay.
Um, yeah.
What is a good what's a good rule of thumb that you have found or heard about posting to your social media, to get the algorithms going and people to see you and to get on the like TikTok, the For You pages of people that
Mhm.
are not following you and that kind
Yeah.
of thing. What
Um,
have you been told or found out you need to do in order to get that to work?
I think, like, using hashtags the thing with TikTok is, like, the algorithm is so unpredictable, and
Mhm.
so, using hashtags and a lot of it is just, like, being really invested in content that's, like, similar to your own, and, like, obviously for me, like, I'm gonna be watching and liking videos of people who are doing covers or their original songs because I know then my stuff is more likely to end up on their For You page
Right,
and, like, around the same kind of area.
right. See, this is what we've already talked about this. I'm an old guy. And I hear young people like yourself, I say young people, young adults like yourself, and y'all have found out so much about the way this stuff works. I mean, you're talking about the algorithms, and this is what you do, and that's what you do, and this is what works, and I'm just sitting here going, "Shoot, I just post." I I I guess maybe I need to do a little bit more with the podcast to get more listeners. I don't know. Maybe I'll tell you what, I'll call you after this is done, and you can be my social
Okay.
media coach. How's that? Because it sounds like
Perfect.
you got it down. But, now you mentioned Molly.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, we gotta tell the
We
story
got it
here.
addressed.
If you noticed, the lights just went out, okay? And I'm gonna let, this has already happened once before, but I'm gonna let Elise explain what just happened.
So I'm in the basement of my dorm right now. We have a music room down here, which is awesome, but it's motion censored lights, and so when I'm sitting too still for an amount of time, the lights go out, and I have to like jump up and down to get them to come back on.
So if you see her all of a sudden frantically waving, think nothing about it. She's just trying to keep the lights on.
Yeah.
It's kinda like making sure you pay a quarter at the park to keep the electricity going,
Yeah.
That has happened to me before. So, but that's I was just wondering if it was going to do that, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there it goes, there it goes. So I don't even remember what question I was about to ask you, to be honest with you. So you mentioned Molly,
Yeah.
okay, and you talked about talking with Molly. Are you and Molly pretty close?
So Molly is from the same parish that I am, and her brother and I actually went to grade school together all 9 years, and we just went to different high schools. So, we knew of each other fairly
Mhm.
well, and so I just decided to reach out for her, and she's been literally just so nice. Like, she met me for coffee when she was in town, and, like, basically has kind of become like a mentor for me and, like, the whole, like, music scene,
That's
and
awesome.
she's just been really awesome.
Yeah, Molly's a great girl. I mean, she's
Mhm.
really just super nice, and I was actually texting her today about some stuff, and so that was pretty cool. Um, so let me ask you this: you hang on a second. I got a whole list of questions here, and I want to pull one out of there. Let's go back to the songwriting for a second. Do you remember the first song you ever wrote?
Yes. So, it was like, as a kid, like, I was, like, writing little songs, but, like, the first, like, real song I wrote was right when the pandemic hit because,
Mhm.
like, I've always listened to music to, like, describe how I feel. So I, like, listen to what I need to hear, and I was realizing, like, no songs were, like, describing, like, what I needed like, what I felt at that time, so I needed to create it.
Mhm.
And so my first song, I think it was called "I'm Tired" or something. It was, like, really sad because it was the pandemic and everyone was inside, but I wrote it on the piano because I didn't have a guitar yet.
Right.
Um, and yeah, I wrote it and I showed it to my parents and they were like, "That was honestly kinda good." And I was like, "Oh, thanks." And then that just became an outlet for me, like, I was constantly by the piano writing, and then later I moved to guitar, and that just became, like, I love it.
So when you're doing your shows, are you doing strictly guitar? Do you do anything on the piano if they have one available, or you take a keyboard with you and play?
Usually guitar. I really honestly, ever since I got my guitar, I haven't played the piano as much. I still love it, but I'm definitely not as good as I used to be. So guitar is definitely my main instrument.
Right. Just an FYI, Albert Pujols hit another home run.
Go Cards.
So that makes what, 694? Yeah, I think it was 694. So anyway, we talked earlier, and Elise is a Cardinal fan, and it's no secret on here that I'm a Cardinal fan, right, Brian? Brian's watching and messaging. It's like he tends to talk a lot, as you can tell by the messages. But what do you think is unique about your music? Is so unique about it that people will want to listen. Sorry, I've got all of a sudden video in my head.
No, you're good. I think, like, my music, I think it's very vulnerable. I
Hmm.
think I truly, like, write what's from my heart, and people can take pieces of that and relate to it, and I think when something people know that something is genuine, they wanna listen to it more.
Right. Very good.
Yeah.
Um, is there a song that you've heard that you have, because you are a writer, and I mean you've written like over 100 songs. I mean you've written a bunch.
Yeah.
So in my mind, you're a bona fide writer.
Thank
Um,
you.
is there a song that you have heard that you've thought to yourself, why could I have not written that song?
So, I'm gonna stay away from Taylor Swift on this one, and I'm gonna go with, Maren Morris, "I Could Use a Love Song,"
Hmm.
because literally, I remember this so vividly. I was in my car, and that came on my playlist, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this song is A, so good, and B, like, I've been trying to, like, write something, like, along those lines, like, the same feelings for, like, a
Hmm.
while, and I was like, "She just said everything perfectly," and I was like, "Oh, I wish I would've written that."
She just stole my song.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's good. So let's talk about your music listening habits. All right. Um, First, I have to ask this because some people I ask them and they go, "Well, I can't do it that way." Are you an iPhone or an Android person?
I'm an iPhone person.
Okay, so if I got my hands on your iPhone
Mhm,
and I opened up your playlist,
mhm.
what are the top 10 songs I'm gonna find?
Oh gosh, that's so hard because I change what, like, playlist I'm listening to all the time. But I guess, like, my most, like, recently played right now, um, uh, oh gosh, definitely I Could Use a Love Song, All Too Well by Taylor Swift, um, Stick Season by Noah Kahan. Noah Kahan is not a country artist, but he just came out with a song, and it's so good, and I love it. Um,
Remember that?
yeah, Noah Kahan, and then I did musical theater in high school and all my life, so there's definitely show tunes on there. Um, but yeah, probably that, and then, 7 Summers Ago and, Sand in My Boots.
Ah,
Got a variety.
right. I have to say, because 7 Summers, you're talking about the one by Morgan, right?
Yeah, yes.
That is, other than The Way I Talk, which was his very first single,
Mhm.
and I was working at a radio station in Kentucky when that song came out, and my GM hated that song, and we got so many requests for it, we just had to play it, because people were going, "Wow, he knows how he talking about me." It was one of those deals. But 7 Summers has got to be one of my 2 favorite songs by him. I love that
I love
song.
it.
It's so good. It's just great. So, when you're getting ready for a show, I'm gonna delve into the personal side of you for just a second here. When you get ready for a show, what takes you the longest to prepare?
Definitely hair and makeup. 100%. Maybe it's just I'm so used to getting ready for, like, high school theater productions that I, like, spend so much time on my hair and makeup, and it has to be perfect. But definitely that.
I know the feeling. I mean, I fight with mine for hours at a time, you know? Trust me on here, I look like I have more hair than I really do because I have headphones on. Um, so what yeah, and you may not have had this happen yet, but I'm gonna ask it, okay? What is your most embarrassing stage moment?
Oh gosh. Um,
Either you've had none or you've had a lot.
um, I would sing the national anthem for sports games at my school. I'd sing it for the football games and basketball games,
Uh-huh.
and during one of the basketball games, the microphone wasn't working for the beginning, so I had to, like, go back and restart, and then as I was singing, I was like, "Oh my gosh, I don't know the next verse," and I started, like, freaking out, and luckily, I got it, and I, like, figured out the words before I got to the next one, but I literally almost forgot the national anthem in front of my school.
Oh my.
Luckily, I've sang it a bunch more times since then, and I've really got it down now.
I started to say, we'll talk about that in a few minutes. I tell you what, speaking of singing, we've got a song here that Elise recorded, and I'm going to play it. And I'm going to ask you about the backstory. We'll talk about that coming up here in a second. But it's called Extraordinary, and we will get into that in 30 seconds. So stick around, and we'll be back with Elise Newman and Extraordinary right after this.
b4Nashville is proudly sponsored by Go-Go Tuners, the go-to tuner for professional and amateur musicians. Get your Go-Go Tuner at gogotuners.com. Buy Heart to Heart Coffee, the coffee that gives back. Find out more at heart2heartcoffee.com. Buy Sibby's Apparel, worn by heroes, made with respect. Order yours
So even though it may break me, I'm gonna be something extraordinary. I'm drowning in an ocean of my thoughts as I try to stay afloat. But doubt weighs me down, and it's hard to find hope. But I'm gonna be alright, I'm gonna be okay. Tomorrow's a new day. It's gonna hurt, but I'm gonna heal, because I can't understand what's good if there's never any pain to feel. So even though it may break me, I'm gonna be something extraordinary. The future is unknown and scary, so I'm gonna live in the moment to see where it takes me. But I'm gonna be alright, I'm gonna be okay. Tomorrow's a new day. It's gonna hurt, but I'm gonna heal, because I can't understand what's good if there's never any pain to feel. So even though it may break me, I'm gonna be something extraordinary.
All right, that was Elise Newman with Extraordinary, and we're going to get back over here and get Elise back on with us. So bear with me just a second. There I am. There's Elise. There's too many buttons here to push for one guy. I really need a producer. I'm going to have to hire somebody to come in and just push buttons for me. And Brian, I need no comments from the Peanut Gallery. Thank you very much. So let's talk about Extraordinary. Where did the song come from?
So that was like literally one of, I think that's the third or fourth song I had ever written.
Mhm.
And it was kind of at the spot, like pandemic was kind of ending. Like there was just like a lot of hope, I guess. And like I really started like really writing songs. And I kind of had this idea of like back in the beginning, like I don't know where my music's gonna take me. I don't know, but I know like no matter what I do, like I'm gonna be something great. Maybe it's not at the time, I was like, maybe it's not a great artist or musician, but whatever it is, I'm gonna end up doing something great. And so I just kinda sat down and wrote it. I'm pretty sure if you go through my phone's voice memos, there's like a 45-minute voice memo of me in my bed at like 2 in the morning writing this song. Um, and yeah, it was the first song I ever posted on my YouTube. It's the only one I have recorded right now.
Mhm.
But it kinda like writing it was kinda like the first time I was like, "I can be something extraordinary with this. This could maybe be something."
Right.
Yeah.
So have you stepped in a studio yet? Have you recorded?
Yes.
Okay.
When I recorded Extraordinary, I went to Shock City Studios in St. Louis,
Okay.
and I'm hoping to, um, in the next couple months, go home for a weekend and get back in the studio and just record more.
Okay. And the only reason I ask you that is a lot of, obviously, talking about the social media algorithm, stuff like that. A lot of people that get into music when they're young, they learn how to, do their own recording at home and they have little setups and stuff like that. So I didn't know if that was not that the song sounds great. It's,
Thank you.
and I love the song. I love the message
Thank you.
behind the song.
Thank
And
you.
I think it's a very special one. But some people will do that, just because
Yeah.
it's expensive to go into a studio and
Yeah.
people learn how to do it at home. And if you can learn how to manipulate, especially like Pro Tools, which is the,
Yeah.
you know, go-to for Nashville, um, then you can make it sound just as good at home. You don't need,
Mhm.
a Michael Knox. Sorry, Michael. Hope you're not watching tonight. That, by the way, is the award-winning producer for Jason Aldean.
Oh my
So
gosh.
him and Jason watch, a couple of times a month, and when they're normally at Jason's Florida home, drinking, hanging out, whatever. But anyway, so if you could, at this point in your life, if you could go back and give yourself a piece of advice about anything, not necessarily music or anything like that, what do you think what would that advice be? What would you tell yourself?
I think just, like, keep being true to yourself even when it's hard, and even when, like, you don't you don't wanna, like, stray away from the crowd, like, but be yourself even when as cheesy as that is, like, I've
Right,
learned, like and I've had to learn, like, being unapologetically yourself is worth so much more than trying to be someone you're not.
right. And that's a fantastic piece of advice, to be yourself. Um, I really wish. I know a lot of young people, and I think a lot of them probably need to hear that, um, and take it to heart. Um, in your sets, I mean, we know how it is when you're an independent artist and you're just putting stuff out. If you're doing a set, you got to do cover tunes. Can't get
Mhm.
away from it. What is the one cover tune that you have in your sets that you would call your favorite?
Landslide, Dixie Chicks version.
Hmm. There you go.
That one, I love it.
I would have went with Fleetwood Mac, but I'll take the Dixie
Yeah.
Chicks.
I know, that's a controversy, but
Just because I'm the older guy, that's um and that's a fantastic song. I mean, I'm not gonna talk about controversy and stuff like that. It's just a fantastic song. I think it's so cool
Yeah.
to you know, for you to and I mean actually that song is probably older than you are. I'm sorry. I love talking to young people and they hate talking to me. It all works out. It's all just works out in the wash. Um, so even at this point, say somebody writes a documentary about you and your life. Who would you pick to play you in the documentary as you are right now? Let's say that because some people will say, well, you mean younger me, older me? So,
Probably, um, if I'm going off, like, looks-wise and, like, actors who look like me, Natalia Dyer, and I think I look a lot alike. She's in Stranger Things, um, and she's also a phenomenal actress, but she's also, like, 29 and I'm 18. So, I'd probably choose someone more my age, probably Sadie Sink. She's just, like, completely, like, become this huge actress,
mhm.
and she's, like, 20, and I really like her work.
Okay. I gotta be honest, I don't know either one of them. I will look 'em up. I will look 'em up. What song's stuck in your head right now?
Oh gosh. Um, Probably Stick Season by Noah Kahan. It's really
Okay.
catchy.
I'm gonna have to check that one out because apparently it's
Hold on. I lost the lights again. But we're back, and we're good, and they're on.
Ah, oh, that is awesome. I love that. It's hilarious. But hey, kudos to Mizzou for trying to save money, you know? Maybe I
Yeah.
need to do that at that's a thought. I need to do that here at my house. Uh, no, we have them for outside. I don't need them inside. That drive my wife crazy. So, if you could go out on tour with 2 artists, who would they be?
Um, hmm, I think going on tour with Morgan Wallen would be so cool and so fun. I had friends who were at his concert, but I'm so upset I missed it. But I had friends who were at his concert, and they were like, "It was amazing," and I'm like, "I know. I wish I could have been there." Um, but I think that would be super fun. And then I gotta say it, Taylor Swift puts on an incredible show, and I would love that.
I have to tell you, because you say that, the it was either I think it was the first concert that I ever took my oldest daughter to was in Jonesboro, Arkansas at ASU, and it was Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
So I've seen Taylor in concert. And as a matter of fact, and I probably shouldn't say this because I may get in trouble, but they had vinyl banners of her like hung up all the way through the place. And they had like that, like the sticky, silly putty like stuff to hold them up against the wall,
Yeah.
the sticky tack. And as we were walking by, I swiped one for my daughter.
Oh my gosh.
So she's had a Taylor Swift banner for like probably 13 years. I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
And she wanted one, and she's like, "Dad, where can we get one of those at?" And I go, "Right here." And we just keep on walking, and I'm rolling it up. Never got caught, anything like that. So I just confessed to theft. I have friends. I have friends, and my oldest son, has friends that are police officers, and I've just confessed to committing a crime. We kind of touched on this earlier have you ever, with following music and trying to get into music, have you felt any self-doubt about, is that really where I want to go?
Yeah. Oh, definitely a lot of times. Um, just because, like, statistically, like, the odds are never in your favor.
Mhm.
And so there have definitely been times where I'm like, is this really something like I should even try and keep pursuing, or should I just like let this be a hobby? But I always go to my best friend, Kinsley, and she's like, Elise, you just gotta go for it. And I'm like, you know what, you're right. Like, because I think it's better to like try and fail than to not try at all and be like, oh, what could have been?
Right. Have those regrets,
Yeah,
and you never want to live life with a regret.
yeah.
Um, we've talked about so many of these questions. It's like we've just kind of chatted, and I'm looking over these. I'm going, oh my gosh, these are like they're all there. What was the first show you ever attended? The first concert that you went to?
1989 Taylor Swift. Um, and I honestly haven't been to a ton of concerts. I've seen her, I've seen Florida Georgia Line, Thomas Rhett, Pentatonics, and yeah, I honestly Luke Combs, but that's honestly, like, all I've seen. I need to go to more concerts. I
We
should
got
have
to
gone
get
to
you
Morgan
to that one,
Wallen.
girl.
I know, it's a
Was
problem.
that the Morgan Wallen in St. Louis show?
Yes.
Okay, because I know he's got one in Columbia, or I think he already had that one. Was it Columbia or Kansas City?
I think it's Kansas City. Thomas Rhett has one in Columbia in, like, a
Okay,
month, and I think I'm
yeah.
going to that.
I think Morgan's is in Kansas City, and it's like October,
Yeah.
something like that. So there you go. But, you know,
Yeah.
if the ticket prices in Kansas City compared to what I heard they were in St. Louis, good luck.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. So since we're talking about concerts, now there's one that you're going to be involved in, and that is coming up September 10th in St. Louis. And Molly, you and Molly are actually going to be there together.
Yes.
So not together, like singing at the same. I mean, you're not like duetting. I don't
Yeah.
think. I don't know. Maybe y'all work
No.
something. I have no idea. Um, there's no telling what will happen that day.
Yeah.
But you're going to be there, and you've got you're going to be opening the show with the national anthem, which is
Yes.
when you talked about forgetting words. I looked a little stressed.
Don't worry, that was, like, my first time ever singing it.
You could always pull a Luke Combs and write it on your forearm. I mean, Luke Bryan and write it on your forearm. Too many Lukes in country music. I get them
Yeah.
confused. But and that's going to be, you're going to do that, and then you're also going to be singing a song that you wrote for your mother.
Yes.
Now, do you want to share the story of that? Are you
Yeah.
comfortable sharing the story of that a little bit?
Yeah, 100%. So, basically, I found out the day after my senior prom, so, like, August 30 or April 30th, that my mom was diagnosed with a brain tumor, which is,
Mhm.
like, definitely something you never anticipate or, like, think happening. Like, my whole world was flipped upside down. And the thing is, like, things were just changing so often, like, first they were like, "Oh, it's surgery," and then it was, "No, radiation," and, like, then they were like, "It's not cancer," and then it was cancer, and it's just, like, over the span of, like, 3 weeks, I was, like, getting new information every day, and it was just so overwhelming, and so I kept, like, trying to find like I said earlier, like, I listen to music to, like, kinda tell me how I'm feeling, but, like, there aren't really a lot of songs for that
Right.
situation,
Yeah.
and I was just feeling like my heart was breaking, but my heart wasn't breaking so much because, like, I was sad, but it was because, like, my mom was sad and my mom was hurting, and it was a different, like, kind of heartbreak than I'd ever felt before.
Right.
So then, I wrote my song "Different Kind of Heartbreak" and I put it on my YouTube, and it was just like I finally, like, really communicated, like, how I had been feeling, and I realized that, like, a lot of people had also been feeling the same way and just didn't know, like,
Mhm.
how to communicate it, so that was, like, really cool, the support I got from that song and people, and I think, like, honestly, anyone who has a loved one going through something, whether it's a sickness or something mental or even, like, maybe if you have a loved one who's in the armed forces and they're gone overseas and you're seeing these people hurt and fight for something, and you're hurting because they are.
Right.
And I just think that's something that, like, people can relate to more than they think they can, and I don't know, that song is just it's become one of my favorites.
Now, it sounds like that's a song that you need to go into a studio and record
Yeah.
with the full backing,
Yes.
not that your guitar playing, but there's some songs that you write them on a guitar, but when they're fully produced with the band and everything, it does make a difference. It'll make
Yeah.
people kind of perk up. If they Some people I'm more musical than I am lyrical.
Uh-huh.
I listen to the music more than the lyrics unless I like the song, and then I'll start tuning in the lyrics. I know I'm backwards, you know, that's why I'm not a songwriter. Um, but I'm super excited because for those that don't know, I'm on the board of directors for Freedom Jam, and I handle the talent, and I also handle the production. And I'm excited to have you there to do the national anthem and also to share your song because it's a song like that can touch, like you said, so many people, and you have no idea how many people it will touch in that one day. I mean, there could be at that point in time, there could be 600 people there, or there could be 300 people there. People filing in because it's kind of early in the day,
Yeah.
which we hope there's 600 to 700 people there all day long. But it's going to be a really exciting thing, and I'm really super excited about it. And I will say this to folks that are watching, and as well as listening on our various platforms that we have, which is any streaming platform out there. You can go check out Before Nashville. You can get tickets, and they're normally $29, but I've got a code for you, like a special code that you can use, and you get your tickets for $20. And that is just when you go to Eventbrite, you go up to the coupon area, and it'll ask for a code, and you just put in B4Nashville, the number B, the letter for Nashville with a capital N, and you'll get those tickets for $20. And you can see Elise there, as well as Taylor Austin Dye, Mark Perkins Band, Molly Lovett's going to be there, and of course our headliner Brady Seals. It's really going to be a good show.
Mhm. I'm
So I'm
so
excited.
excited.
And is this kind of the biggest show that you've done?
Yeah. Um, I did an open mic a couple weeks ago for, like, 50 people, and that was, like, a set of songs. and, like, I've played gigs and stuff, but,
Mhm.
um, pretty much yeah, I think the closest other than that would be maybe 3-ish hundred, that I played for, and that was, like, through a school event. They had, like, it's called Evening of Theater, and it's kinda like anyone can get up there and do stuff, and that was actually the first time I ever performed an original song, and I think that's
Mhm.
for, like, 300. But yeah, this is definitely gonna be way bigger, and I cannot be more excited.
So, do you think being in college now, are you involved in sorority?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think you'll have any of those fun gigs like that, the sorority parties or the frat parties or anything? Are you going to try to go after that? Because I mean, I hear they're fun, but then I also hear they're pretty wild. So it may not be something you want to
Yeah.
do. I don't know. Uh, but
We'll see. Um, Definitely, like, so far, sorority, it's been so fun, and the girls are all super sweet. Um, but yeah, I don't know, kinda dip my toe in, but
mhm.
I don't really know yet.
So what? Let's go back to Freedom Jam for just a second. What are you looking forward to the most at Freedom Jam?
I think just getting the chance to perform for an audience that big and getting to, like, I really see, like, professionals do their work and, like, see that
Mhm.
whole aspect of it, and, I mean, it's like a professional gig, like, I literally am so excited, um, and just see, like, everything and how it all works and, like, really, like, all the behind the scenes, and I'm just so excited.
Are you gonna get there early enough to watch, like, the load in and stuff?
I don't know if I'll be there that early, but I do definitely plan on being there pretty early.
Because I started to say, if you are, I can put you to work.
Hey,
You can
I'd be ready. I'll work.
that way, you know what people are going through when you ask them to
Yeah.
load in, you're like, "Golly, I did that once," or, "But that quit complaining, I did that, and it's not that hard," something like that. Um, so again, if you wanna check out Elise at Freedom Jam, just use the code B4Nashville. When you buy your tickets at eventbrite.com, just look up Freedom Jam USA and it'll be right there. Um, is there a particular time of day that you feel the most creative?
Um, I feel like not necessarily a particular time, but whenever I'm, like, really alone, I feel very creative, like, because I really get time to, like, think, which that has been I'm not really alone a lot in college. So, I've kind of been, like, forcing myself to come down to this room and just, like, play and write and do all that.
Mhm. Is that hard sometimes because you want to socialize, but then you realize, hey, I've got this job, if that's what you want to call it, and I really want to work on that. I mean, do you consider it a job right now? Or are you still thinking it's kind of it's a little bit more of a hobby or something like that?
Um, I feel like it's definitely becoming more, like, job-like, like, I'm setting higher expectations for myself, and so I think once you do that and you, like, get in that mindset,
Mhm.
you kinda create, like, a more professional version of yourself. So I've been
Right.
trying to do that, and, like, I've been down here 2 weeks, so I'm still trying to figure out the balance because it's hard. Because like, I wanna meet people and, like, obviously a sorority is a huge commitment,
Mhm.
um, time-wise and stuff, we have so many events, but, I think I've been able to balance it pretty well, like, I'm kinda trying to get down here, like, once a day, and I have some pretty, like, good breaks in my classes, but, yeah, and not even because the thing is for me, it's not even like I'm, like, forcing myself to work. It's, like, kind of an escape, and it's kinda, like, the way I, like, express myself. So, it's more of, like, a when can I do this, not a, "Oh, I have to do this."
Right. Okay. I I can accept that. Um, let me see here. I want to go back to my questions for a minute. This is kind of a subjective question and it's kind of off the wall and sometimes I throw these out, but with what you've experienced so far, the gigs, the music, the writing, the learning to play guitar, everything else, is it worth it?
Yes. Like, I
Why?
think this has just been, like, I don't know, like, having people who I don't really know or, like, wouldn't necessarily, like, talk to that much, like, text me or, like, comment and be like, "This really stuck out to me," like, something I wrote, and I'm like, "Oh," like, I had no idea, and, like, I keep going back to like, the whole reason I started writing music is because I needed to write what I needed to hear, and so a lot of times when I write, I think, like, maybe this is only what I need to hear, but what someone else needs to hear too, and I don't know, I think it's just been, like, so worth it. I've been writing songs for about 2 years now, and I think just, like I don't know, I think I've become a better person through it all. You, like, really reflect on, like, yourself, and I don't know, I music has just become my life, and I love it, and I wouldn't change a thing.
Right. So if somebody wanted to check out your music and your social medias and that kind of stuff, where do they need to go? How do they find you?
Um, for my YouTube, it's literally just my name. If you look up Elise Newman, I should be the first thing that pops up on YouTube. And then, I have a public Instagram. Again, Elise Newman is not a very popular name, so if you search up my name, I'll likely be the first person to pop up, but if not, my Instagram username is _.Elise Newman, all one word. And my TikTok username, I think, is just Elise Newman 10. And those are pretty much all my socials. But again, Elise Newman's not a very popular name, so I'll likely be
Right.
the first thing that comes up.
All right. All right. Well, good deal. So again, check Elise out. Check her out on Spotify or well, actually YouTube. That you've got more music on YouTube.
Yeah.
Nothing against Spotify, but you know, if you want to listen to an artist, you want to hear probably several songs. So
Yes.
go check her out on YouTube and follow her on social media. Follow her on TikTok. Yeah, I work in radio, you can tell. Can't talk, but I get paid for it. Um, but follow her on social media. Go check out her music on YouTube and just drop her a word of encouragement if you're following her. Gosh, there it is again on social media. All of a sudden having a Morgan Wallen moment, following her, um, following. That's the way they say that, following. Uh, but just give her a shout out. You know, let her know that you're there and you're supporting her. And Elise, I wish you the best. And um, I'll see you in a couple. Well, actually, about
Yeah.
10 days, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, not very, about 12 days actually. And we'll be in St. Louis for Freedom Jam USA. Again, if you haven't heard about that, Taylor Austin Die. Let me do it in order of appearance. It's going to be Elise, Taylor Austin Die, Elise, Mark Perkins, Molly Lovett, and Brady Seals. Brady, of course, formerly of Little Texas, and got some great stuff out on his own as well. If you listen to that, heard a couple here lately that sounded a little bit before its time. Actually, kind of sounded pop country, and pop country wasn't even around then. So I thought, wow, look at Brady go. He's kind of an innovator. So I guess the lights went out again.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. I'm so sorry.
I love it. I love it. And we also have Ray Lynn. She is a young lady that is going to be there, and I think she's going to be performing with Molly. She did last year at Freedom Jam, and I think with Mark as well. I don't have total confirmation on that, but again, like I said, anything can happen. There may be I don't know, could be an axe throwing tournament turned up in the middle of this thing. I don't know, you know, or well, I don't want to say that because I get myself in trouble. I just well, we won't go there anyway. If you want to go to Freedom Jam, just go to eventbrite.com, look us up, and put in the code before Nashville. Elise, thanks for coming on. It's been a blast. No, Brian is not going to sing, so Brian, get that out of your head right now. Um, in case you're wondering, Brian has been banned from the stage, and I will point him out to security, and security's a bunch of big guys. So I've already told him he's not allowed to go on stage that night. Freedom Jam, you can go again, find us at eventbrite.com. Use the code b4Nashville, and you'll get tickets for $20. Elise, thanks a lot for coming on. It's been a joy. It's been a blast to talk to you. And again, we'll see you in about 12 days.
Mhm. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thanks for hanging out with me. And we'll take a couple of minutes after we get off here. But first off, just want to tell everybody, be sure to join us, because coming up Thursday night, we'll have another episode. And I don't have my calendar, so I don't know who it's going to be. But I will find out. I actually think it is, Madison Station, I believe, is the name of the duo that are going to be on. So join us for that. And until then, Elise, you take care. Everybody else, y'all take care as well, and we'll see you.
Thank you.